Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Last day of reprieve for outstanding traffic tickets. Our reporter Kalisha Williams has the latest from the traffic courts. 4 police officers in custody for robbery, rape and corruption. And later in sports, former champions beaten for the 3rd time this season in JPL. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. Hours before the end of the reprieve period for the payment of outstanding traffic tickets, hundreds of people have again flocked traffic courts across the island. This includes the traffic court on Melbourne Road in St. Andrew. The crowds have led to long lines and lengthy delays outside the gates of that court. Kalisha Williams is there and has the latest.
So I'm standing right now on Melbourne Road in St. Andrew where the traffic court is, and I can tell you what you're seeing behind me is just the tip of the iceberg. This line extends all the way to South Camp Road. I can safely say there are far more people here than I saw on Monday. Some people told me that they've been here since 4:30 this morning, but it has been chaotic. And you may be wondering, why are so many people here? Well, it's the end of the reprieve period where persons can repay their traffic tickets, but many persons here will not go before a judge today. What they have is a printout of their traffic tickets, which will be stamped by the court administrator. So if they are stopped by the police, they will not be arrested. So I'm here on the ground. I'll be monitoring what's happening, and I'll have more updates in primetime news at 7.
Thank you, Kalisha. To other news now. 4 members of the St. Elizabeth Police have been taken into custody and are now facing charges of robbery, rape and corruption. Prince Moore reports.
The 4 constables, who are members of a special team, were taken into custody this morning by the leadership of the St. Elizabeth Police. It follows a report by a woman who alleged that she was raped, robbed and threatened by the policemen following a traffic stop on Monday night. It's reported that the police team was on checkpoint operation along the Crawford Main Road about 10 p.m. on Monday when they stopped the 26-year-old female driver. She was driving with a demonstration plate on her vehicle. It's reported that she offered the cops $7,000, which she had on her, but they demanded $50,000 not to prosecute her. It's further alleged that the policemen took her to the NCB ATM in Black River, where she attempted to withdraw the funds but was unsuccessful. She was then told by one of the constables to drive to In-Town Supermarket in Black River. It's reported that she was taken to the back of the supermarket, where he raped her and threatened to kill her if she reported it. He also used her cards to purchase some items. She reported the matter to the Santa Cruz police station and was medically examined. The team was subsequently disarmed and taken off duty. The Area 3 Police Headquarters and Indicom are investigating the incident. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says steps are being taken to increase ambulance services in Jamaica. Dr. Tufton says his ministry is now in the process of setting up an emergency response system to fix the problem. Jamaica records a significant number of trauma cases each year, especially from motor vehicle crashes and domestic disputes. Most victims are unsure how they will get to a hospital, as they can only hope that someone will provide transportation. Sometimes these victims are not properly positioned as they are being transported, and so their injuries end up being worse than what the trauma created. But Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the ministry is now working on establishing an emergency response system to fix the problem.
So it's by far not the ideal. Part of the challenge is that the trauma cases are so high, so it does create a problem. So we have been attempting to put in place an emergency response system. There is an agreed path that we had worked in collaboration with PAW and WHO around that is over a decade long. Some things have been done, but there's still a lot more to be done. One of them is the ratio between these emergency services, meaning the ambulance and the team, and the population.
Dr. Tufton says over 120 ambulances are in the island, 60 of which are in the public health system.
We recently acquired a number of new ambulances. I was in Mandeville, where 4 were deployed in southern region. In Western, where 4 were deployed in that region, and there are some others, I think 3 or 4 in Nera. We are training more people to be able to support that. So all of those things are good. In addition to that, the private sector has an emergency response system with probably 60 or thereabouts ambulances. So those exist.
But still, this is not enough. And to make matters worse, Dr. Tufton says 10% of that number would be down and not working.
It is an improvement, but it is not the ideal, because the ideal is determined based on the number of accidents that we have, and we have an unusually high amount. If we were to take it from a population standpoint, one could say we're making good improvement. But if we're taking it from a road accident standpoint, or a people hitting people down with blunt instruments standpoint, or people getting heart attacks in their home standpoint, then it is out of whack.
He's therefore making this appeal to persons on how they can avoid getting themselves into traumatic situations.
Whether it's how we drive on the road, you have the Road Traffic Act that's coming on stream now, hopefully that will help. Or it is, riding without a helmet. Westmoreland is famous for that, St. Elizabeth, unfortunately. Or it is settling disputes. All of those combined creates a significant demand on the system and a lot of pressure on the system. So I wanted to mention that because I take note that we were criticized for not having enough. But again, sometimes context betrays some of the conclusions that are drawn.
Shamela Pullen. Tension is high following the swearing-in of the new chairman of the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation, Hubert Williams, Vice President of the People's National Party, and Mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, has blasted local government minister Desmond McKenzie for seemingly not accepting the new mayor. Codian Barrett reports.
Hubert Williams was sworn in as the mayor of Morant Bay following the death of JLP councillor Lenworth Raleigh last year. This shifted control of the St. Thomas Municipal Corporation from the JLP to the PNP. Speaking at a PNP Awards function in Northwest St. Anne on the weekend, Vice President of the People's National Party and Mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, chastised local government minister Desmond McKenzie for not publicly accepting the mayor.
Shame on him! Shame on him! Shame on him! He didn't call it on himself. He never created the vacancy. It happened because life is like that. Life is like that. And we didn't jump up and behave anyway. We were very much respectful for the man who passed on, because that is it. But now there's a system. The numbers have changed, and it is now in the favor of the PNP.
In the meantime, Mr. Scott says despite the local government elections not being called as yet, he's adamant that the PNP will take the helm of the majority of the municipal corporations.
There are 96 sitting councillors, and we are going to make sure that whether they want to call a local government election now or whenever, after it ends, it will be PNP in charge of all the municipal corporations.
However, the Electoral Office of Jamaica says it may not be ready anytime soon if the local government elections is called. Director of Elections Glaspole Brown, in a Gleaner article over the weekend, said the over $1 billion budget which was sent to the government has still not been approved. Mr. Brown further noted that 3 months would be required for the training of election day workers. Codian Barrett, TVJ News.
Residents and business owners in Portland are renewing calls for more action to be taken to address a dust nuisance in the parish. They say they're fed up and want immediate intervention from the authorities. More in this report. It's been over a year now since residents have been contending with a dust nuisance in Portland. This is as a result of the South Coast Highway construction project from Harborview to Portland.
I see everybody pack up and leave in December. Nothing, nobody even come and look or think about the business that is here. This affects the business so much because when you come around here, customers complain a lot. And as they should, because there's a lot of dust. It's crazy.
What is now shocking and surprising, we turned up this morning at the site of the contractor to realize that all the equipment are gone. All the equipment. There was news on the road that the contractors were going to pull out because a lot of money was owed to them. That is the news that was on the road. We haven't gotten that from any official source because nobody speaks to us down here in East Portland.
The People's National Party Council candidate Colin Bell says this is causing great inconvenience to everyone using the area. He said the contractors are also frustrated.
No MP, well, we don't have a councillor because the councillor died a couple of years, maybe a year or 2 years ago. So nobody speaks to us down here. We're just left to the whims and fancy of whichever contractor, whatever happened.
He says the authorities need to fix the problem and soon.
We're calling on the powers that be now. We're calling on the parish council to use their good office, to call in the NWA. Let's have a public meeting because since this road started, there has been no public meeting in East Portland to update the people of what is happening or what is going to happen. So now that we realize that the contractor has moved their equipment, we need to know what is going to happen. The dust is unbearable. The one small truck cannot adequately sprinkle the road.
A service organization in St. Catherine has launched an initiative to help single mothers. The assistance also provides opportunities for 2 of the mothers to get access to vocational training education. Krista Campbell reports.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin says over a third of Jamaican children live in households with no father figure. Online reports put that figure up to 47%. And so a program to help 5 single mothers in St. Catherine start a chicken rearing business is being celebrated as a much needed break for the recipients, some of whom had never raised the chickens before.
Yes, I'm a mommy and my daughter. I'm a son-in-law. They're familiar with those things, you know, how to do it. And there's always YouTube. I have 2 children going to school right now. One is in Barbados, she's doing law. And since she's been over there, I have not been able to give her anything. And I have a son in Ford Farm at Jose Marti Technical. And he says that when he's finished, he wants to go to Maritime. So, you know, I'm very grateful for the chickens because he can help me to help him.
The Kiwanis Club Young Professionals of St. Catherine, which started 3 years ago, says the Single Mother Empowerment Initiative will be done every year. It was recently launched with donations of 262 baby chicks, 5 bags of feed, 1 for each mother, as well as care packages at the Eltham Park Primary School containing
rice, flour, cornmeal, canned foods, oil, and we have snacks for the children as well. We also have stationery supplies for children. We have vaccinations going on. Special thank you to the St. Catherine Health Department. Our public health nurses are on board giving our vaccines to our children. We also have doctors on board doing basic health checks.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
Sagicor Financial Corporation Limited's Chief Operating Officer and Chief Financial Officer, Andre Masu, will be promoted to the President and CEO effective April 1. The Sagicor Financial Company is currently in the process of finding a replacement for the CFO role. The CEO post became vacant following the resignation of Doddridge Miller, who served in the role for more than 20 years. In business overseas, the International Monetary Fund says global growth will drop from 3.4% last year to 2.9% in 2023. Although the rate is expected to fall 0.5%, it's still higher than the 2.7% that was forecast in October. The IMF says China and India will provide the biggest boost for worldwide growth, while the U.S. rate of development is forecast to be 1.4%. That's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Belize is taking steps to revive its shrimp industry that was bringing in revenue close to $100 million Belizean dollars annually up to 2014. Chairman of the Shrimp Industry Task Force, Hugh O'Brien, will over the next 3 months lead a team that will place emphasis on the implementation of modern technologies that aid in increasing shrimp production throughout local farms. According to Mr. O'Brien, a revived shrimp industry can take advantage of several export markets, including Taiwan, whose government has already expressed interest in purchasing Belize's shrimp. On the international scene, a second nationwide strike on Tuesday is disrupting electricity production, public transportation, and schools in France. Workers are protesting over plans to change the retirement policies. The government wants to raise the age from 62 to 64. The last protest on January 19 against pension reform saw more than 1 million people protesting in the streets of France. Workers' unions say they are hoping to top that on Tuesday. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
Thank you, Cody. We head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report with Jordan Fort.